Fellas, it is Wednesday. We have a four-game NBA slate here on DraftKings. I'm going to be talking through each game, doing a game-by-game breakdown, as well as talking through my favorite early look core plays. Coming off another successful night where their early look core plays were fantastic once again. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my PrizePicks video, which will be out after this. If we could hit 30 likes on this video, that'd be great. So thank you guys. Let's get into this breakdown. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter at HeartDFS. And yeah, a quick look back at my lineup from last night. The early look core plays were Jamal Murray, Jalen Brown, Anthony Edwards, and Bogdanovich. So as you can see, all four of them almost went for 51 for Murray, 51 for Jalen Brown, 53 for Edwards, and then 40 for Bogdanovich. So really solid core plays there. But yeah, as you can see, I went with obviously Murray, who was a lot lower owned than I expected. Jalen Brown only 23%. Ant Man was decently high on 35%. Sadiq Bey, he went out there and I think he got 16 fantasy points in the first half, and he only got two in the second half. So that was a little frustrating. I went to Mason Plumlee there just with how my lineup worked out. And I got the ceiling Mason Plumlee game, the once in a blue moon, which is great there. Uh, NAW was okay. Bogdanovich was, really solid in that second half. And then Norman Powell was decent. I think he had like 14 fantasy points in that first half. So he was doing nothing and really turned on that second half there. And I was able to cash again. Nothing too crazy, but a nice solid score. The winning lineup had Jokic in it, as we see here. NAW, Bogdanovich, Hunter somehow managed to get in there. Towns ended up actually having a decent game. Plumlee, Booker, and Jokic. So yeah, Booker and Jokic each both went for 80 fantasy points. So that was massive there. But yeah, the early little core plays have been fantastic. If you guys want those, the updated core plays on my Patreon, check it out in the link below, as well as extra prize pick plays. We had another great prize pick play day yesterday. 2-0 on the YouTube plays. We went another 2-0 on another pair with the Ant-Man Taco, one with Jamal Murray over fantasy score. So it was a great day yesterday. Made a good amount of money. So yeah, looking to continue this good streak the past few days into today. So today we have a four-game slate. Not really sure why they did a four-game slate. Makes no sense. We got the first game here, the Cavs, or excuse me, yeah, the Cavs and the Knicks. And then we have the Lakers in Memphis 30 minutes after. And then 2 hours after, we have Miami and Milwaukee. And then 30 minutes after that, Golden State, Sacramento. It's just like, I don't know why they jam four games on this slate, but I can't complain. A little bit bigger of a slate. So it makes it more viable to take a little bit more dart throws on some other people. But in this first game here, we have Jalen Brunson, who is 7,500. Once again, I think he's a super solid play. He's going to be playing about 40 minutes. He's been super consistent and just very solid all around. Hasn't flashed like a huge ceiling, but he's been getting like he's getting like high 30s is his floor. Mid 40s is kind of like where he's been hitting. So I think he's still a very solid play. He should be, decently low owned. Julius Randle's probably going to be super popular. He's just been god awful. I saw a report saying that, he's still his ankle's still messing with him, so I guess there's that risk there. But yeah, I think he played like I think it was 10 minutes in that second half, and it was all in the third quarter. I don't think he played the end of the third quarter or any of the fourth quarter. Like they benched him. He was that bad. So yeah, there is that risk there. But I mean, 6,900 for Julius Randle is the cheapest he has been all season. So it's hard not getting to him, even in this tough matchup. He's been doing terrible. I think he's a great bounce back candidate. 6,900. We know his upside, even though his ankle injury is still kind of messing with him. It's hard not to really like him. So right now, I really like him, but that may change depending on ownership. RJ Barrett's very cheap, 5,400. One of those things where if Randall gets benched again, RJ Barrett's going to be that second option behind Jalen Brunson. So I do like him. He played 38 minutes. The only downside with Barrett is that sometimes if he's playing bad, he will get limited, as we can see these first few games. The first game was a blowout. Second game was a blowout as well. So he only played 33 and 31 minutes. But yeah, if the game blows out, we've seen at times him not getting full run. So that's the issue there. But I mean, 5,400 is a great shot to take, chance on him. Josh Hart, he started because there was no Grimes. So if Grimes is out once again, Josh Hart would probably start. He'd become another value play. So solid play there at 5,100. I wouldn't expect 16 shots. That's a huge outlier there for him. But yeah, we know he can go off in limited amount of shots. Has that huge upside, as you can see here, 37 minutes, went for 40 and a half. because you can get steals, blocks, rebounds, all that stuff. So yeah, these guys on the Knicks side are definitely too cheap here. It's just not the best matchup to play him in, but it's kind of give and take. So Mitchell Robinson, I think he's a fine play. We know the upside with him. Had a decent game last game. It's just the minutes he's sometimes limited, doesn't really close. So more so just a risky GPP play. Quickly, another risky GPP play. I mean, he has upside. It's just he has not been doing well. They really haven't been looking to extend him at all. So it's hard to trust him in the minutes. Toppin, kind of the same thing. Got a little bit more run just because they benched Barrett, or excuse me, Randall. But yeah, not a lot to like here in the lower end besides maybe taking a shot on Hartenstein. We know he's super productive when he's out there, but he's super foul prone. So it's like he's never going to get extended. And then Grimes, if he plays, I guess he's a fine value, 3,600. Not really too involved offensively when the team's fully healthy, but he is pretty cheap. But if he's out, obviously it's more run for Josh Hart. On the Cavs side, it's pretty easy breakdown just because they're running for pretty much a 5-man rotation. Like Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, they all should see about 40 minutes. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland will see a little bit more. Garland's coming off the better game there between the two. Mobley and Allen, I always prefer Mobley over Allen just because he's, a better shooter, a better scorer. So yeah, I mean, all four of them will play 40 minutes. Levert's kind of been like their fifth man. He's seen huge minutes the past few games, so I think he's a solid option, 5,200. Um, Osman, he's kind of their cheaper dart throw play there. Should see anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. He can definitely get you there. So if you want to take a risky dart throw on him, I don't mind it. But sometimes, you just don't feel great about it because he will get limited unless he's shooting on fire. Okoro, he played 17 minutes. I guess another risky dart throw if you want to go for some cheaper options. I'd prefer getting to Osman over Okoro, but he's there. Rubio, they said he was going to be in the rotation. He only played 6 minutes, so doesn't look like they're going to him. And yeah, that's really it. It's really just the five main guys: Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Allen, and Levert. And then they sprinkle just a little Osman, Okoro, and like a Rubio, and that's it. So it's just like if I had to take a shot, it would be on Osman there, 3,300. He's playing 15 to 20 minutes. We know he's one of those guys that's like he can be productive in that time. So he's one of those options we can look to. But out of this whole range, I think it's hard to get to Mitchell just because Garland kind of has a similar upside and he's been a little bit better. And he's cheaper, 7,000 compared to Mitchell, who's 8,700. He's playing a little bit more minutes. He's more aggressive offensively, but it's just I don't know. He's just not getting into a shot. I expect him to be super aggressive this game, so I think I'd rather take him on like a PrizePicks prop than I would in DFS. But I mean, he's still a solid play. But I just prefer getting to Garland because of the price tag. I think Mobley and Allen are coming in at decent price tags. Mobley has just been he's just been bad. Like he gets off to slow starts and then he picks up in the second half, or he gets off to a solid start and then he really slows down. Like this game, he fouled out his whole second half. I think he had more fouls than he did fancy points in the second half there in that last game. So that's kind of the risk there with Mobley. Allen, he's just not too involved offensively. So yeah, I mean, both the bigs look great. It's just this team's really, really struggled offensively. It's usually just one player does well and the rest does terrible. So as right now, I think my favorite is going to be Karis LeVert there, 5,200. He's playing massive amount of minutes, and I think I like Garland a good amount. But I do have interest in the other three people as well. Moving on to the Lakers game here. For the Lakers side, LeBron 80, it's kind of the same breakdown every time. They both look fantastic. If I had to get to one, it'd probably be LeBron. But they're both great. Russell is a solid mid-range option. He's kind of got a limited floor and ceiling, but he's definitely viable at 6,000. It's just the minutes weren't great on him last game. He did foul out. Reeves, another very solid mid-range option. He played 42 minutes. He was productive, 30 and a half fantasy points. Obviously, it went into overtime, so a few extra minutes for these guys. But yeah, I like Reeves in the mid-range. Rui's price really came up. He's more out of play for me now. 5,700. He's seen low 20s minutes now. That's what I said. If he's not going to hit shots, his minutes are going to go down. He does have a very low floor. So at that price tag, Rui's out of play for me. I mean, I guess if you're playing 150 lineups, you could throw him in a few, but yeah, he's out of play for me. Vanderbilt finally had a good game. 4,200. I guess you can go there. I'd rather take a dart throw on other guys who have similar upside, similar minutes, like a Seti Osman or some other people. But I guess you could land on him, but I don't love it. Schroeder played 30 minutes. Yeah, I'd prefer getting to him over Vanderbilt. And then Troy Brown, he saw some minutes as well. He saw 22. And then Beasley saw a few minutes as well. He's just been god awful. So yeah, it's really just going to be kind of interesting the top three guys of LeBron, Davis, and probably Reeves for me. I don't mind D'Lo, but yeah, it's really just those four, and then maybe looking at, I guess, a Schroeder. But yeah, it's not a lot of interest besides the main two for me. On the Memphis side here, we have John Morant, 9,700. I think he looks solid. Coming off of more of a letdown game there, he was popular, 80-24, just couldn't hit a shot. Still got 41. So I think Ja looks solid as a spin up play. Jaren Jackson Jr., I like that his price did come down a little bit. We know he is upside, especially with the block. So I think it's a solid play there, 7,800. It's just the foul trouble. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Bane had a solid game as well. So yeah, I think all three look great. Tillman looks like a fine value option. Had a very solid game last game when he was super chalk, which is kind of frustrating, but it looks like he's going to be playing huge minutes if he's going to stay out of foul trouble. Even if he's in it, he still saw 42. I mean, they need him against Anthony Davis. They really don't have any other bigs. So Tillman looks like a very, very solid center option. Brooks, it's Dylan Brooks. Luke Kennard, he's just not seeing the minutes. I think he got into an argument with their coach about how he wanted to go in the fourth quarter and just didn't get in. So yeah, I just it's hard to trust him. Tyus Jones just not seeing the minutes. They're running their tight rotation as well. They're sprinkling in all these guys off the bench. Roddy played a decent amount. Santi just didn't really play. So it's hard to trust any of the minutes for these guys down here. It's really just, taking a shot on one of the main four starters there. On the Miami side, Jimmy, obviously we know what he did last game. If you think, he's going to continue this hot streak here, I don't mind spending up for him. His price didn't move at all. Still 9,400, and we still know he has huge, huge upside. So I think Jimmy looks like a solid play. Bam, he's pretty cheap here, 7,100. It's really just been the Jimmy show. So it's hard to trust Bam. His minutes have not been great, even though they've been super, super limited. So I do like taking a shot on him, though. It's just, it's a cheap, cheap price tag for Bam. He's not been great, but we know the upside is there. So I don't mind Bam there. Caleb Martin, okay play. You can't really expect him to go for like a double double and two steals, but he's there. He's fine. Kyle Lowry, same thing. 24 minutes. I don't know why he's been limited. They have no one to play, so it doesn't make sense. So I don't mind running it back with Kyle Lowry once again. Kevin Love was super chalk. Only played 22 minutes. I think he's a fine play again. Struce, I think he's a solid play. He's just been god awful. So there's that risk that he won't play. He got me -1 point last game, -1 in 17 minutes. It makes no sense. So I don't mind running back with him. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's just been struggling a lot. So that's kind of the downside there is he just hasn't been hitting shots and he's been getting limited. So I don't mind running back with him. I still think he is the upside to get you there at 4,500. Gabe Vincent, he actually had a decent game. It's kind of his ceiling there. So I think he's a fine play at 4,300. It's kind of the same slate with the Miami Heat. It's really just Jimmy is a standalone great play. Bam is a risky spin up option, but we know he's solid. And then it's just like in the mid range, what's going to happen? No one really knows. I think Kyle Lowry and I think Kyle Lowry is probably the standout to me. And then from there, I'd probably get to like a Vincent and Struce and then maybe Love. But yeah, it's really interesting, this mid range here. Duncan Robinson, if you think he's going to continue to shoot like 75% from three, I say, take a shot on him at 4,000. But I think he's going to have a letdown game and they're going to continue to look to Struce, who maybe actually has a solid game tonight. And that's it. On to the Milwaukee side here. Giannis at the top, 10-4. Price really hasn't changed. His back, he did had a great game, triple double, and his price didn't move. I like him once again. I expect him to be super, super aggressive. So Giannis looks great once again at 10-4. Drew Holiday, more of just a contrarian option. He will play a ton of minutes. Same thing with Middleton. I think they're both solid options. Middleton did not shoot the ball well. Still went off for 35 fantasy points. So I think he's a solid option now that he's down to 7,200. I do like that a decent amount. And he does average a good amount, playing alongside Drew Holiday and Giannis. He is option number 2. So don't be afraid to take a shot in the mid range on one of them because it could really help you win a tournament. Brook Lopez, I'm assuming he'll be super, super chalky. A lot of people missed out in this last game. He was great for me, 62 fantasy points. Absolute ceiling game there from him. It was fantastic. But yeah, I think he's still a solid play, 6,400. We know the upside is there with the blocks, with some steals. And if he's hitting shots, he can have a monster game. But yeah, I think he's a solid play. But if he's super high owned, I'd rather take a shot on someone else. And then moving on to the rest of the team, Bobby Portis, always worth a GPP look off the bench. Got limited last game. Not really sure why. They could have used his scoring. But yeah, he should see close to mid 20s minutes. I think he's a solid play 6,100. And then the value, I think I'd rather take Connaughton's probably the only guy I'd take a shot on. I guess Grayson Allen's fine. Ingles is there, but I think Connaughton's kind of the standout value as of right now. And then moving on to the last game here, Golden State versus Sacramento. For the Golden State side, Steph looks fantastic, 9.5. That's a pretty cheap price tag for Steph here. Hasn't flashed like a classic Steph game. Like he's had great games so far, but I'm expecting one of those games where he goes for like 40, 45 real life points. So I'm loving Steph tonight in this matchup. Clay Thompson coming in at a cheap price tag. So it's one of those things where I don't mind stacking this whole game. I mean, it's cheap price tags. It's a great game environment. So yeah, I really, really like the idea of stacking this game possibly. So I love Steph, love Clay. I love Wiggins. You know, he's playing huge, huge minutes. He's been super productive. Obviously, you can't expect 7 stacks, but he is definitely viable. Draymond Green, very, very solid play there, 6,300. You came off a 38 fantasy point game. We know he has an upside. Obviously, he shot it 14 times. Do not expect that to continue to happen, but he still has that upside in limited amount of shots. Kind of like a Josh Hart. Kevon Looney, I think he's a fine play. If you want to get off of like a chalky Xavier Tillman, I guess Kevon Looney is a decent play there. So I have interest in all 5 of the starting 5. Off the bench, Poole is, I guess, worth a dart throw. Same thing with DiVincenzo. You know, they play the minutes. It's just, can they get you there? Gary Payton, I think he's a fine value option there, 3,700. And then that's really, it's no interest in anyone else. Moving on to Sacramento here. I think Sabonis, very cheap price tag. Another one of those guys who really hasn't flashed like a huge Sabonis game. So maybe today is the day. So I do like him. Fox, the issue with Fox is that the finger, like he broke the tip of his finger, pause, the tip, pause. But yeah, that's the issue. Is like he's been hitting huge minutes. He's been great. Obviously, the best closer in the fourth quarter in the league. But will that affect his shot? I don't know. I think his price tag is a little bit too risky. But now, if he's coming in at like sub 15%, sub 10% ownership because people are scared of that finger, I don't mind taking a shot at him. Like that'd be a great, great play there. There is still risk, but that'd be a great play there. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts with Fox. Monk, all the way up to 5,900. More of like he's priced about right, so I guess he's a fine play. Kevin Herter, don't mind taking a dart throw on him. The minutes have been down. You know, the 2 games he actually was doing well. He got in foul trouble, so he didn't see extended run. So I think he's still a solid upside there. Don't mind him. Barnes has been, just a safe play in terms of minutes, but his upside is very limited. David Mitchell's now 5,000. Do not play him there at 5,000. That is way, way too high for him. And then Keegan Murray. I talked about how Keegan Murray could be one of those guys if he hits his first few shots. You know, he will get extended, and he did. 35 fantasy points. His price did come up, so now he's more of an okay play. Trey Lyles' price has finally come down. I think he's definitely worth like a dart throw look. We know he is, a very productive ceiling in a limited amount of minutes, so he is definitely there. And if Sabonis gets foul trouble or one of these wings gets in foul trouble, they will look to guys off the bench like a Trey Lyles. So yeah, I think he's a fine play. Alex Len, I guess, is an absolute punt play, but yeah, that's really it for the Kings side. So right now, this is the breakdown. Really focusing on Steph Curry, Karis LeVert, Julius Randle, and Chris Middleton. The biggest question marks in this lineup are obviously Chris Middleton, Julius Randle. We'll see if I, go with him later today. Just make sure to stay updated with me on my Patreon, on my Twitter. I'll have all the updated news there. Hit the like button. I'll see you guys in the Prize Picks video. Peace.